All right, time now for French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France. For that, I'm joined by Florence Villeminot. Hi there, Flo. This week, we're going to focus on prostitution. Now, last week, French MPs approved a new law that makes it illegal to pay for sex, shifting, rather, the criminal burden from prostitutes to clients and bringing France in line with a growing number of European countries like Sweden, Norway, Iceland and the UK.
That's right. It's a major change for what's known as le plus vieux métier du monde, the world's oldest profession. Now, according to this new law, clients caught paying for sex risk fines, and we can take a look at what those fines are. Up to 1,500 euros for first-time offenders, and up to 3,750 euros for repeat offenders. And what's interesting is clients caught will also have to enroll in workshops to essentially learn about the plight of sex workers.
Okay, so this really kind of turns current French legislation on its head. Sex workers themselves are no longer seen as criminals, but victims.
That's right. Now, keep in mind that prostitution is legal here in France, and up until now, what's been illegal is everything around prostitution. So pimping and soliciting, which is known as racolage here in France. In fact, it's our word du jour, essentially trying to pick up clients. According to this new law, sex workers will no longer be fined or jailed for public soliciting, racolage. This was a very controversial measure that was put in place by Nicolas Sarkozy when he was Minister of the Interior. Now, what's interesting is this new law also makes available 4.8 million euros a year to help sex workers quit their trade, and foreign sex workers who are actively trying to get out of prostitution can also be given a 6-month residency permit. So it's quite a huge change. And what's interesting is that could actually potentially represent a lot of people, because if we look at the figures of prostitution in France, of the 30 to 40,000 prostitutes working in France, 80% are foreigners, and mainly from Eastern Europe and Africa.
Oh, very interesting. Officially, France is an abolitionist country, isn't it? Which means that the official policy is prohibiting prostitution. But this is a really divisive debate. Some people argue that the solution should be regulation, not getting rid of prostitution.
That's right. That's what can explain why laws so far have been so chaotic. It kind of they throw back and forth the responsibility between clients and prostitutes. Those in favor of abolition argue that most prostitutes are actually the victim of human trafficking and abuse. And that's actually what the socialist MP who actually drove the law through Parliament believes. Let's take a listen to Maud Olivier.
90% of prostitutes want to leave, and 85% of those are a victim of smuggling rings and human trafficking. There's another component, and that's education. Teach the youth to respect their bodies and the bodies of others, but most importantly, bodies aren't there to be sold.
Anti-prostitution groups, including many feminist groups, argue that prostitution is a form of violence against women, and that's why it should be abolished, essentially to promote equality between men and women. And many of these groups applaud this new law because essentially it shifts the shame and it shifts the blame as well. Let's take a listen.
Prostitutes are no longer seen as criminals. When they're abused, they can file a complaint in a police station, something they never dared to do before. The power relationship with their clients will be completely different. They'll be in a position of strength. They'll say, I'm not guilty, I'm not a criminal, but what you're doing is against the law.
All right, so there we had praise for the new law, but not everyone, of course, is thrilled. We've got aid groups, doctors, and even the police divided over this issue still.
That's right. A lot of police officers say that given the current security situation in France, they have better things to do than try and catch clients of prostitution. And they also say that this new law is going to be hard to enforce because it's going to be really hard to catch clients red-handed. It's really interesting to hear what prostitutes also have to say about this new law. They're afraid that it actually isn't going to make prostitution disappear. It's just going to make it push it out of sight, essentially, from authorities. And not only that, they're afraid that they're actually going to be even more victimized and face more stigmatization and poverty. Let's listen to some of these prostitutes.
We'll go deeper into the woods to hide. We risk having serious health and safety problems.
Clients will be frustrated because they'll no longer be able to come see us, and we'll be frustrated because we'll no longer be able to work and contribute to society.
It's one thing to get rid of pimps and human traffickers and all those assassins. As for free and independent women, leave them alone.
And that last soundbite we heard from that woman there raises an important point. Critics are saying that this new law, well, it seeks to protect prostitutes, but it's actually violating their individual freedom.
That's right, and the individual freedom of prostitutes, but also clients. And back in 2013, when this law was being debated, because it's been debated for a long time, a magazine called Thurs, which is known for being quite provocative, published this manifesto, essentially in defense of the right to pay for sex. You can see it's called Les 343 salauds, the 343 bastards. Hands off my prostitute. They argued that it's ridiculous to punish someone for something that's technically not illegal, because prostitution is not illegal in France. And as for public opinion, it's very divided as well. There are constantly polls, but they're all very contradictory because it depends a lot on whether you're a man or a woman and your age group as to what you think about prostitution. Now, a majority of people seem to be in favor of reducing prostitution, but it's unclear of exactly how to do that. And the government keeps tossing the blame between the client and the prostitute. But people say that doesn't really target the root problem, which is human trafficking and mafia groups.
All right, thanks very much indeed, Florence Villeneuve there with this week's French Connections. If you have any questions about France you'd like us to explore in French Connections, feel free to tweet Flo, her address there at Flo Villeneuve. You can also check out our website there, france24.com/en, under the programme French Connections.